Hey, special educators, it's Jennifer from Positively Learning. I'm back with more questions from you. We had our second free training on setting up our task box systems for student independence. And at the end, we have a Q&A session, and you guys have the best questions. In the last episode, 85, I answered 6 questions, and now I'm back for the second workshop to tackle some more. Let's see if we can get through 6 questions again, hopefully more. Let's go. Hey, special educators, I'm Jennifer from Positively Learning. Welcome to the Special Educators Resource Room. If you're like me, you're always looking for ways to save time and streamline your work. That's why this podcast was created, to give you the systems and solutions you need to get your time back. Tune in for tips, tricks, and tools that will help you manage your workload and make the most of your time. Whether you're brand new or experienced, all are welcome in the Special Educators Resource Room. If you've been enjoying a lovely summer break and you're thinking, what are you talking about? Free workshops. Number 1, welcome back. And number 2, we have 3 free trainings this summer. It's called Task Box Magic, setting up your independent work systems for student success. We've already had 2 of them. There's 1 more to go. It's on Saturday, August 3rd. At 9:15 Eastern Standard Time. I'd love for you to join us. I'll put the link in the show notes. This first question is just amazing, and I can't believe I've never shared this before. The question is, do you spend time teaching how to use each task box as you introduce new ones, or do you just teach the system at the beginning of the year and allow the task box photos, visual directions, to guide students? What a fantastic question. And my answer is a little bit of both. Many of the task boxes in the Task Box Dollar Club are going to be following a very similar format. They might be clip cards, cards for students to interact with hands-on manipulatives, a dry erase marker, and other appropriate tools. Once I introduce one of those, students are most likely going to be able to access the task independently because there's so much consistency. If I did have a task that was just very different than anything they've seen before, I may introduce that task box in a small group. Maybe it's going to be part of our warm-up or guided practice. And then when students come back the next day or the next week, that box is now part of our independent work systems. So I hope that answers the question. It's a little bit of yes and a little bit of no. That consistency is such an important piece because we don't want to teach each and every task box to our students. We want them to be able to access it independently as much as possible. Oh, this next question is an interesting one. And it is one that I have to admit, I don't know the answer to, but maybe you do, or it'll give you something to consider. The question is, I'm planning to use task boxes for students when they first enter my classroom, waiting for everyone to get in and get settled. Do you think that students can switch with friends after they complete one? So I did use them in a very similar format, but I didn't do the switching with friends. I just felt that it was something that I didn't want to break that routine of students working independently on their own. I don't think there's anything wrong with switching with friends if that's what works for you. And maybe I should give students more credit, but I would just be so worried about students wanting to switch with friends during our regular scheduled task box time, like during rotations in small groups. So for me, I'm going to probably stay away from that, but I certainly don't see anything wrong with it, and I love the idea of having students using task boxes when they first arrive. Question 3 is a great one, and it is from Karen. Hi, Karen. The question is, how long do you keep a task box in rotation? This may surprise you, but I can't remember ever physically removing a task box from our system. Even if students had used the task box 1, 2, or many times, I normally just kept them in there. So throughout the year, I was always adding more tasks, especially as I found new things that would interest my students or when I learned more about what they need, but I rarely took tasks out. That might have just been me being lazy. This next question is so good. It's about data collection. The question is, when you collect data, do you just ask the student to show you when it's completed, or do you watch? So do I observe them doing the task? So this is a great question. I think either one would be fine. So for example, if a task box, a single task box has 10 task cards, you could have a student complete the 10 task cards, and then you quickly take a data point from it. You're looking at it for accuracy, and you can just jot it down, or a plus minus. And for some reason, I never did that. I always did it as a check-in. I love doing check-ins with students, whether this is in literacy small groups or math intervention groups, whatever it is. My goal is always to check in with 2 students during a time block. So for example, if students are with me for 45 minutes or 1 hour and we're doing several rotations, for each rotation, I would do my best during the transition to check in with the student. Say, oh, show me what you're working on. And the student would be so excited to open up the task box and do the cards with me. I would just quickly grab a data point, like a plus minus or a yes, no. My goal was to check in with 2 students per content block. No one ever knew who those 2 students were going to be. I did, but they didn't. And so by the end of the week, I pretty much had some type of check-in with every student on my caseload. It worked so well for data collection. Well, this next question is an easy one from Marcy. This was a great PD. I am so glad that I joined the webinar. You already answered my question. I'm so glad to hear this. Thank you. I have looked at the questions after each free training, and I try to include the answers in the training for the next time. So thank you so much for helping me improve. All right, this next one is not a question, but it's such a useful tip. I want to share it with you. It came from 2 people who attended, Jennifer and Leela. Hope I'm saying that correctly. They talked about using clear task boxes, those photo storage boxes that are 4 by 6 inch. And they had several reasons that had to do with reducing distractions by having all of the different colors. And I can completely relate to that, both with myself and with my students. So I did try color coding with the task boxes themselves. Do not recommend. It didn't work out very well at all. And instead, I used a 1/2 inch round circle sticker. I got a pack from Amazon, and I put those on the outside of the task box. Those were different colors, and they corresponded loosely with a scope and sequence in my case, but you could have any type of leveling system that works for your classroom. Those stickers provided an opportunity to use color coding, not the actual task box. Good tips for reducing distractions so students can stay focused on the content. This next question is an easy one that I can answer quickly. It's, sorry if I've missed this, but where's the Facebook group where we could be a part of? So I did create a second Facebook group. I already have a large one called Special Educators Resource Room, the same name as this podcast. I did create a second Facebook group. It's called Task Boxes Teaching. And I'd love for you to join us. I originally created it, I think about 6 months ago. It hasn't been long at all. I created it to set up communication with those who are in the Taskbox Dollar Club. This way I could show a lot of visuals and here's what's new and make announcements and ask questions. I ask a lot of questions like, do you like this or do you like that? What else do you want to see? But you don't need to be a club member to be in the Taskbox group at all, especially if you're thinking about it, but you're just not sure if task boxes are going to be just right for you. I'd still love to have you join us. I share out some freebies, great information, and we can learn from each other. It's called Task Boxes Teaching, and I'll put a link in the show notes. I'm going to wrap up this episode with one last question, and this concerned student accessibility, being able to open and close the task box to even get started with the independent work system. My response to that question is to forget about the box, that physical box. Yes, those rainbow boxes are everywhere and they're so popular and I love them, but the purpose of this system is student access and building that independence. So task cards and manipulatives, they could go into a tray or a open bin or a basket, or maybe it's a file folder or an adapted work binder, whatever works the best for your students. Hope that helps. Thanks so much for tuning into this episode. We have one more free training. I'd love for you to join us. There are some free bonus items in a download, plus a PD certificate and a giveaway for a TaskBox starter set. That's for everyone who attends the live training. So I hope you can make it. I'll put the link in the show notes. And as always, I appreciate your support. I've had so much fun getting to know people who have attended better and having so many people join the Facebook group and learn about your experiences. I really appreciate it, and I'll catch you next time in the Special Educators Resource Room. Thanks so much for tuning in, and I'm dying to ask, what'd you think? Be sure to hit the follow or subscribe buttons so that you never miss an episode. You can find the show notes and links for everything mentioned in this episode at positivelylearningblog.com. See you next week for more special education solutions.